I think what's nice about this maybe is that maybe there's a little bit more autonomy, but I don't see too much of a difference in that respect. But I think the platforms you're preparing you have to be very specific about them. If there's platforms that allow artists to work up there and market it, or two platforms if you want, then I think the difference is not so important as long as you're supporting artists.
Yes, if you're a computer science and do you want to get into platform development, what do you think is the best roadmap, or what's your personal roadmap about learning all this?
GitHub. So Tesos is written into smart contracts that are written in a language Nicholson, but we can write in Python. And there's an astronomer, Javier Garcia de Campo, I think his name is. Find him on Twitter, and I think he's got a whole GitHub of smart contract templates, which are amazing.
Let's see which one.
Really, from very simple transactions to multi-signature transactions where multiple people have to sign off on something.
But I think there is too far, man.
I think it's Javier Garcia de Campo. I'll look it up in a second.
Because it's like a stream.
It's still live streaming?
I have actually
What the fuck is this?
Any other questions? I think it's time to move on.
Because I just clicked right now.
What's your opinion on NFT video games? NFT video games.
Dividends.
Video games.
Video games.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't see them as too different from video games. That's there's a documentary everybody should watch. It's called Line Goes Up. I don't know if you've seen it. You can find it on YouTube. Line Goes Up. Like in a graph. It's a 2-hour scathing criticism. Very well researched, very well presented on the crypto space, NFTs, etc. So you should watch this before getting into it. If you're still interested, then you should continue. I watched it. I think it's a very well researched, very well presented work. There's a part for me that was devastating, which was a game. What was it called? But essentially, people are just playing this game to get this what's called Soliman Love Potion, and now you need a sponsor. So it's kind of like bordellos of people, indentured servants playing this game just to make this money. But it's a little bit better than what they would be able to do in their home countries if they worked a normal job. It's horrifying to see. I think it happens outside of crypto as well. But I think there could be, again, it's not monolithic. I think there could be good examples and there could be bad examples. I think this was really, for me, was horrible to see that this is happening and how people's lives are reduced to something we just like to see in a Black Mirror episode. But I'm sure there's going to be plenty of Ubisoft has a bunch of video games, I think on Variable. I hope that the video game experience will be, let's say, enabled and pushed by this technology. At the moment, I don't see it taking full advantage of all this.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luis. It was a very great presentation. And now our next speaker is Soliman Lopez, that is an artist that is working in digital since a long time ago. He was founder of the Hard Disk Museum project, and now since last year is making several projects related with NFT and metaverse. And he's going to explain us. It's okay? We could start in 5 minutes if you want. Do you want 5 minutes to stop a little? Okay, in 5 minutes we will start.
No, no,
focus, huh? A little bit to this direction. No, sorry, to the other one, yeah. A little bit more, a little bit. I think it's great here. Yeah, I think, but because I will explain here.
But the last thing is that
So here you can see the speaker, but if we want to focus on the presentation, it's a little bit more for.
You see, it doesn't have autofocus. It's not focused. You see me?
Yeah. Do you want to try the other one? Maybe.
Yeah, let's try. Why not?
Okay. Let me configure the audio.
Only that I would need a longer cable, man. Let's change the cable. Let's put this. Plug the cable.
Vas a usar, vale, entonces tienes HDMI. Perfecto. Este es el proyector.
Just in case, dejar esto enchufado.
Vale, perfecto.
El más cercano enchufe, ¿cuál es? Y yo por eso a lo mejor internet, si tengo que guardar vuestra red de antes.
Vale.
It's hard to position it, no?
Let me check.
But you don't need this. You don't need the cam link. This is not.
Yeah, of course, this is for the camera. But let me charge the battery and then we can record. Ah, no, it is like the. Give me the USB. Cancel and. Este es el. Si lo quieres.
Can you go?
¿Cómo estás? Perdona, he llegado donde he llegado, me ha dado rabia.
Nos conocimos en el Zoom, sí, sabía que venías de París, has llegado ahora, ¿no?
Sí, a mi mito.
What is the name of the camera?
Sí.
Is this one? Okay. Ah, it's the better one.
Yo creo que con esto es todo, pero que hago aquí la presentación. Vamos. ¿Me dejo esto abierto?
It's okay. I think it's better for like you can a little bit this way. Oh, it's perfect. No more. You have to turn it to the floor. Yeah, I think it's perfect. A little bit more to this. You're right. A little bit more. A little bit. Okay. A little bit more. Okay, that's it.
But I need something.
Okay, I will. Yeah, it's okay, but maybe a little bit to your right. A little bit more. A little bit. Yeah, I think it's great here. Yeah, it's great. You can check if you want.
Ah, no, it's much better, man. It's
Much better.
Yeah.
And the sound, what do you think we're gonna do with the sound?
The sound, it's the input of computer.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah, it's good.
it's good.
Yeah.
No, it's not good.
Why?
Because
This is
they-
gaming computer. They have good sound, good microphone usually.
we can check it.
It's still serious gaming
Okay.
computer, I'm sure. I'm not sure about the quality, but usually my computer is also like I have a Rockstrix and the sound is great. I'm not sure about the quality, but usually my computer is what? It has two lines of sound.
Oh, yeah, of course. You have to audio input capture. Click here to hide this.
This? Hide?
This. And then, wait. Hmm. Oh fuck, I already put a lot of input capture. Laptop. Okay, so we will use. Is this one, right? The micro reality. No?
Yes,
Yeah,
it's only
I
that
think
can
so.
be. Only that can be actually.
Yeah. Okay, so we are on streaming. It's working. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's right.
Okay, cool.
Perfect. Okay. Uno, dos, tres, uno, dos, tres, uno, dos, tres.
Alejandro en inglés, ¿no? ¿En inglés? Sí, inglés, ¿no? You ready? Vale, estamos en live streaming, que ya he compartido el correo. Esto. Lo único que tenemos que estar teniendo aquí. So, good morning, everybody. Sorry for my delay. I'm Soliman Lopez. I am a Spanish artist now based in between Paris and Spain. And basically today I would like to share with you my experience related with this kind of manifestation that we can call crypto art and NFTs. But in my case, it was something that it was already included in my practice in the very beginning, because I was really engaged with the meaning of what means a file in a raw sense of understanding. Because finally, the most important thing that we have today in the contemporary art production are files, actually. We are working all the time with files, but not only in the art market or in the art practice, but also you go to a bank. In your bank, you have your file, you have your register. If you go to the administration, you have a number, but it's also a file, and so on. So this presentation, the challenge was just to be something inspirational. So I am going to share with you some kind of conceptual introduction for talking about from a better understanding about what means tangibility. Because basically, what happens today is that the society is now understanding that tangibility is the most important thing in the world. And we now introduce economy into those assets that normally it was something that was like, okay, let's share it, copy and paste, let's kill what we're returning with the charm of the artist and the artist production. And now, thanks to the blockchain technologies, we can add this value to those files that are part of our library, that are part of our intellectual property, and in my case, almost are part of my life. So the presentation, I name it File Experience. Basically, the first thing I would like to talk about is how we can understand this intangibility, and for doing that, the first of all that we have to do is accepting the machine. What means accepting the machine? The machine is something that is close to new technologies. What means that in the early beginning of the humankind, we were working with technology at that period, at that moment. Let's say that it's some kind of alteration of nature. I don't know if you know or if you are familiar with the silex stones. It's like kind of stone that is very smooth in a way. It's very easy to manipulate. And for those ancient people, it was easy to create different kind of tools for eating in a way, for for using the day by day. But it's not only an object. This object has a consequence. Not only a consequence in the society, but also a consequence in our human body. Because thanks to this small object that you have in the left side, there's a small piece in our brain that has changed. Our mandibule has changed, then because thanks to that, we have small pieces of meat, then we need less amount of teeth and smaller ones. So basically, thanks to that, the small tool in the day-by-day of the humans had changed, had opened our brain space, and then we had a bigger evolution. And let's say that something similar happens with the camera oscura. Camera oscura that is like an event that belongs to the Renaissance. Thanks to that, people will be able just not only to understand what means light, but also to how we can control the light and the information that comes from the light. Thanks to this device that it was in wooden, basically you can project the real life into a small box, and then you can put it inside a film. This was very big, but after that, photographers and the entrepreneur in that period, they built this small object that it was, let's say, like one of the first camera that we can find in history. And that is another object that has changed another thing. And now we are going further about this notion of intangibility. They change the way we see. They change the sight. Okay? Thanks to a tool. And then we go to the contemporary age now, the period that we are, is not today. I mean, this evolution is coming from almost 15 years about the devices. And now the camera of the digital devices is the first moment where we accept that the machine is going to build the image from us. And why I'm talking about that? Because those small 3 cameras, 4 now, they are also integrating artificial intelligence for finishing the image, for helping the camera to really understand the reality. And that's another point, another change. And this object also has changed a lot of things of us, as you may imagine. Thanks to that, thanks to the camera that is on the other side, the front camera, we have changed the way that we look at ourselves. This is the selfish period in the humankind. And that's also thanks to another object, thanks to the machine, thanks to the technology. But it's not only the object that has changed, also the artists. We have been passed from this artist that is Gaspar Friedrich, who is in his atelier, his workshop, isolated in a small piece, in a small room in Dresden. Now we have passed away from this image to an artist that has to be overexposed to share his information. And this is thanks to new media, thanks to how we should understand that now the artist is not only an artist, the artist, and it's not working only with the media, the artist is the media itself. And that is very, very important also for understanding what's happening now in those big communities of NFTs. Because the big communities of NFTs are done by teams or artists that are behind of that, and they are overexposed to be in contact with that community. So let's say that the media is like the knee, like the pieces on the knee for making this, this machinery works and avoid the frictions in between the pieces. So it is very interesting how we as an artist, the media artist, we have been occupying the media places, and and that's happening for a long time period. For example, when the emergence of urban art, for example, and graffiti and all those movements, very powerful in the USA. It was like a revenge, like a response to the white cube that was being, very established in the contemporary art in the USA. So artists said, okay, we don't need any more white cube. We are going out. We are going to put our creativity in those walls that are empty. And now something happens, something similar happened with the new media artists. When the internet comes, artists say, okay, I can use as well this technology, this white canvas, this digital canvas for showing up my work. So we occupy the space of internet. And now something happening exactly with the NFTs and blockchain. Now artists, and there was someone who asked why digital art now is more powerful in terms of NFT than music. And it's because the art is more like, there's more confrontation on that. Music is more like in the industry, and art is more like in the, we need to hack the system. And that's one thing that is very important to understand, how the industry has chosen the digital art as the first example for understanding an NFT. And also there's something that is also connected with the industry, because art by itself is like an intellectual property, is always connected with the artists that are producing something physical in the art. So basically, if you are feeling like a digital artist, you have to know that you should be everywhere. You should be everywhere because you are not only using the media, you are the media yourself. You are the media itself. And thanks to that is how it's what we have been achieved this goal of occupying NFTs. Basically, as you may know, in my opinion, an NFT is not art at all. An NFT is just a protocol of property, of digital property. It's nothing like that. But the most important thing of an NFT is that we are trusting in the system. I would like to remember do you remember when those companies were trying to sell us the notion of the cloud system? It's okay, everything's in the air, everything is like floating in the air, there's no cables, internet is floating, everything is Wi-Fi, everything is wireless, everything is like in the air. And now with the blockchain technology, we are coming back to the earth, because now blockchain, block is like, you can imagine like, okay, this is a real big piece of metal that is saving my information. And that is now, the metaphor has been changed, and that's something that is very interesting. In any case, we are trusting, we are really putting our thoughts and our trust and our intellectual property in a chain. In this case, the blockchain, that is the base of the NFTs technology. I don't know if you know exactly what's an NFT, what is the difference between a token itself and a rare token that is an NFT. If someone has any doubts, I could try to make the difference, for example. Okay. So what's the extreme of this trustful in between the humans and the machine? For example, this project, Artblocks, is not only an NFT platform, but it's a platform that is creating auto-generated NFTs. That means that the artist now has pushed away his responsibility as creator, and now it's the machine who has the responsibility of creating the artworks. It's the base of many different collections. All those CryptoPunks, all those Kitty, I don't know what, all those collections are based on this idea of let's giving the opportunity to the machine to build their own content. And in Artblocks, you will see that there's a lot of different artists that are working with generative art that is basically art done by an algorithm that, thanks to the hands of the coder, obviously, it's able to produce artworks. So basically now we are in collaboration with the machine. we achieve the goal, we understand that when we do artificial intelligence, we are not using an slave. You have to think about that you are co-creating with the machine, and that is very important. Because if you place yourself in the co-creation, you will be, you will have more opportunities for making something innovative. If you are trying to use technology as a slave, I think that you are going to be like less creative, because finally that's the industry. The industry is using technology as a slave, and the artist is using technology as a tool of co-creation, and that is totally different point of view. Because if you are a designer, you are using InDesign or Illustrator as normal. You are all the day using this tool for filling a briefing. You know, you have a briefing, you have to fill the replies to that briefing. But if you are a digital artist, you are trying to find the gap in between you and the machine, and that's very important. You have to think about when you are working with technology about the co-creation. So I have a lot of cables here. And this is something that is happening here in this artwork of Soliman and Peju, the Venezia, the last one. This is a real example how the artist has done the opportunity to the machine to express itself. And at this point, even she's trying to move something that remind us blood. You know, this machine is moving blood in a way, in a metaphorical way. And basically, it has this huge movement that is trying to introduce like a doubt in the machine. Should I continue working on that, or should I stay or stop? And basically, it's an endless work, because the blood is coming out all the time and it's spreading all around the cube, where the machine is trying to really put it out. So basically, this artwork for me is very, very illustrative about this. You know, what is an robot arm? What is the meaning of that object? It's done to do what? You know, the artist is trying to find another utility, and is where the art comes. The same with Pinar Van Arman, that is
The singularity is the theoretical day that artificial intelligence advances beyond human understanding and begins to change.
He is using also machines, artificial intelligence in his practice. Is mostly just to feed the machine, the artificial intelligence, with different practices from historical artists. Thanks to that, he's machine learning. He tried to reproduce the works of other artists, historical ones, thanks to artificial intelligence. So he's co-creating. He's doing something that is based in his intellectual imaginary, and is trying to build a new art history thanks to the machine, thanks to the co-creation of the machine.
Pindar is a computer security contractor in Northern Virginia, but for the last 12 years, he's been making robot artists on his.
But we are not only pushing the boundaries about the creation itself, or the production, but we are also crossing the boundaries with the philosophical point of view of things. For example, in the Bucharest Biennial that is planned to happen this year, the curatorial team has to think about what will happen if we left an artificial intelligence to think from us. What will happen if we put some information in that artificial intelligence, and it will be artificial intelligence who is going to choose the artists that are representing those ideas. So we are, one more time, placing the responsibility into the machines. But it's not as it is. I mean, there is a lot of different risks about this action. And for example, it exists the terminology artificial stupidity. I don't know if you know about Ito Steyer. Ito Steyer is one of the most representative artists around this idea. That, you know, basically, finally, if we are the perception that we are introducing in the artificial intelligence comes from the human beings. Basically, we can find human responses. And I don't know if you know about different examples. Mostly in the USA, they try to feed different artificial intelligence with the content that comes from a social network, and then they found that this artificial intelligence was like misogyn, it was like homophobic, and it's so basically we can give the opportunity to the machine to express itself, but basically and finally it's up to us to really create a real good content. But it's not you, as I said. Those artists like Stellar has already, in the 70s and 60s, has already understood the relationship between the machine and in between the human body. For example, in this artwork that I love especially, he has like a second electronic arm that is reproducing the word evolution in a crystal. And if you remember, Picasso has also this video where he was painting in a mirror to see how the artist is in front of the artwork. And in this case, Stella has done something similar with a and also what are the boundaries between the technology? Can we inoculate the technology in ourselves? How can we change the way that we hear? Can we change the way that we are connected with the technology? Stella has done this art with a ear in his heart. So basically, this artist for me was one of the first that really understood that the co-creation is something that's going to happen. And the boundaries of the connection between machines and humans are going to be very present in the art history. Also, I have the opportunity to now see my friend. I don't know if you know about Orlan. Orlan is a French artist that he made surgery, in his own body for talking about feminism and many other relationship with the new technologies. But now we have passed from this physical connection with the technology, and we are now using we are working a lot with the software. And what's happening here? This is the runway software, and in the runway software there are already learned machine learning GAN systems where the camera is already able to find the shape of people in one image in real time. We don't need a laser camera, we don't need a sensor, we just need a camera for understanding what's happening in the real world. So there's no machine, there's a small machine, okay, that basically the visual is able to really find the bodies on the image. And now also we are also working very hard with the software, not only with the hardware. And maybe an example of IDA robots, it's like envisioning all those ideas. It is an artist, it is a machine, and it is an artificial intelligence it's an entity that is trying to reproduce what she sees, she observes in the world thanks to, let's say, artistical practice. About the final artwork, I don't know, maybe you could, it's not, for me it's not super cool, but conceptually I think that there's a lot of things that we can explore here in this notion of really inhabiting a robot as an artist. And now I'm going to show you some examples about my practice and about how I really understood what it means to work with a file, to work with something that is intangible. For example, here in making this appear because with chair, I was reflecting about how we can update different artworks in the art history. In this case, I don't know if you know about Joseph Kosuth. Joseph Kosuth was one of the most representative artists in the conceptual art. He has done a work that is 1 and 3 chairs, that is something similar to this. In his artwork, there was 1 chair, the description of a chair, and the photo of a chair, talking about the representation of objects. But Kosuth belongs to another generation, and Kosuth was not leading the digital revolution. So in the representation of the chair of Kosuth, there was a chair that was not represented, and it's the digital chair, because he was in another period of time. So my reflection here was about how we can make disappear the sensation of reproducing something, or the sensation of produce an image. So basically, we rebuilt the 3D chair of Kosuth exactly with the plans of exactly the same measure but in 3D of the Kosuth chair. We put it as a 3D model. I put it in a SD card, and I swallowed the SD card with the 3D file inside. So basically, with this small action, with this performance, basically we are making, we are closing the possibilities of representation in the digital area. Basically, there's nothing far away, there's nothing in another step further that helps us to continue representing the world. Okay.
Or it was the case of RepSat that I was working with this. I don't know if we can make it more funny with videos. In RepSat, I was also wondering about what's are the real images that come from the outer space. So I based my project in the RepSat mission, Rosetta Solar mission, that it was guided by the ESA European Spatial Station in Europe, and they found the first moment of history that we put a beacon on top of an asteroid. And they did different images of this asteroid turning around. And it was something that belongs to the 3D world because the image was, okay, this is real. I mean, I have to believe that I should believe that those images are real. So basically my reflection was to create like a machine, a vendor machine of files based in this, visual installation. And when people put a USB in the sculpture, the same installation, the installation takes the images of the satellite and glitch it. So users takes those images glitch it, and it's a reflection about what is real in the digital world and what is not real. Everything is more done in printed. And for example, today this artwork will be an NFT. We put the USB and we can mint it as those artwork as an NFT. So maybe this artwork will be like a vendor machine of NFTs. Here you can see the whole picture of the artwork. You know, here I printed the actual the images of the spinning asteroid in different frames, and you can when you see the backlight, the animation, you can see the animation because your eyes is following the animation. This is a detail. We did a lithophany that is done everything 3D printed with backlights. Or for example, in frame of memory card, I was also reflecting about the notion of content and container in the digital world. So we did this sculpture of 35 by 45 centimeters like this, but it's done in massive aluminium. It's around 50 kilograms, just holding the content of a hidden file inside the memory card. And it was also a reflection about the importance of the identity and the content and the digital content. It could be also an NFT. It was everything was mechanized, you know, the whole. It's sometimes like a blister, you know, of Apple or something like that. It belongs to even the material is done in aluminium, like the computers. Or the 5 Genesis project where I was creating digital files in real time thanks to a machinery that with different 6 modules with very powerful graphic cards where we put different cameras in a 3D environment in Blender and we crack Blender with Python and then randomly we move the cameras around the 3D scene. Then we create in real time the render, and then when the render was done, the file goes directly to those stones with a USB integrated, and the files rest in peace, let's say, on those stones. So basically here it was like a reflection about what's the meaning of the physicality of our the ideas. So, okay, if a data file is not in play, let's say that it doesn't exist. This is the moment where the files are created, like some kind of threads that are in the images in real time. Then when the image is filled and it's done, it passes through the sculptures and so on. Those are the sculptures with the 6. Also, we have a monitor to say, okay, the stone is full, so you have to pass to the other one. This is Tony, one of my assistants in the studio. Those are some examples of the images that we did. The image was talking about ancient culture the connection with the contemporary time, talking about the evolution of the image and the culture. Or for example, in Bioma, you can also create portraits on the fly thanks to this sculptor that is working as a portrait creator. Basically, the software has a camera and a microphone, and then with the camera, it takes different colors in your face, and then with your own voice, it's modulating the waves of your portrait. So basically, here are colors that are taken from the image, from the real image, and then the shape of the portrait depends of the sound that you are creating with the machine. It could be also an NFT. I mean, this sculpture could be also a machine of creating NFTs. Sorry for my bar. This is the layout. Also, you can go directly to the website and you can recover your portrait thanks to the tickets. You have like a unique ID that helps you to recover your portrait. Those are some prints. Those are some examples of the result. Or in the case of Lampath, at this point I was really obsessed about files, about the reification of human beings. And in this project, we were part of the Digital Art Biennial in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro and in other city. And we built this sculpture, that it was a sculpture that it was working, moving files around the world, thanks to the movement of those, let's say, arms, electronic arms, that when one arm is going to the top, we were picking up a file from a server in the north hemisphere, and we left another file in the same server, and then when we go to the other side, we made the same in the south. So basically, we were exchanging different files around the world thanks to the sculpture in real time. And here I connect the fork of the machine to really make people understand that the digital is not like in the earth, but there is a real effort that is involved in the process of exchanging data and creating files. And what kind of files we were moving all around, it was like VHP files that are people moving at the same time. With motion capture, we used a database of almost 2,000 bodies in movement of people making things. We could see here, we use 4 servers of Amazon, and then we put the files in between the world. Those are the files. Those are some views of the artwork. And then in my reflection, there was like let's say like a pyramid with the creation of the Hard Disk Museum. In 2013, I was invited to make a residency in the north of Spain, in Santiago de Compostela. And basically there, they proposed us, at the end of the residency, they proposed us to make some kind of artwork for being installed in the Jeju towers that are, you know, Ciudad de la Cultura in Santiago de Compostela. It's a huge monument. It's a huge art center, but there's no content. It was done with Brazilian marble. In the middle of the production, the Brazilian miner stops producing the same stone. So when you are a fly view overview of the building, you can see that even the marble has changed. There's a super library built with nobody there, and there's a lot of places for occupying thanks to art, but nothing happens there. So basically, I reflect about what we can do, what I have to do, or what I can do with the digital creation, and I propose an exhibition in a museum. That was the first moment where the Harvard Museum project appears. They didn't choose the project, and I saved it for sure. And when I began working with my school in Valencia, with the Escuela Superior de Arte y Tecnología, and I
I did the Department of Innovation. The first project I proposed to the school was, okay, let's really promote the project, let's make it happen. We did have this museum with this idea of isolating digital files in a hard drive and to use it like a museum. Basically, the first steps of the project was, okay, you have to go physically to the hard disk, to the hard drive to really consume the artworks. And during the pandemic, we decided to make like a digital version, but with a low resolution of the files in the browser. I don't know, we did a lot of things with this project. We did a lot of exhibition. This is the manifesto intangible. I already did it. When we produced the project, we also published the manifesto. I invite you to read it. It's in the website of the project, harddiskmuseum.com. And this museum is also the first museum that has its data saved into DNA. And now we are going to approach ourselves to the latest hardware that I'm working on that are connecting biotechnology with blockchain technologies and with NFTs. But this was the first example, the first attempt that I did working with a DNA. I don't know if you know about that, but the DNA has not only the properties of defining ourselves, but also finally is a code with 4 elements. You have the 4 nucleotides that are part of the chain. Those 4 nucleotides, basically you can build a sequence A, C, T, G. Okay, that's actina, adenina, cytosine, guanina. That's all those elements. And as you may imagine, a digital file is almost the same. It's a code, but rather than having 4 elements, we have 2 elements, binary code. So we have ones and zeros. But if you combine ones and zeros each other, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, you have 4 elements as well. So thanks to Python code, we translate the binary code into quaternary code, that is ACTG, and we did a chain that corresponds to the binary code information. And then in a laboratory in the USA, we built a molecule in the laboratory, a molecule of DNA, a real molecule of DNA, that is holding the sequence of the museum. So if I put back this molecule in a laboratory, the laboratory is able to reconstruct the file and give me the information of the museum. Okay. Maybe it's one of the possibilities of saving data in the future. The industry is working a lot on that. I have to say also that the COVID and the new technologies has also played an important role about the future of this kind of technologies, because now we are very familiar with all that belongs to the body. You know, you can see a testing lab in a supermarket in Paris, for example. Everywhere you can make a COVID test. It's like okay, it's very familiar to have like this biological testing, and also as you may know, in China they have their own machines at home. They do that, they put it in their machine, and they have their COVID test. So maybe in the future we will be able to have like a machine of sequence DNA at home for saving digital data. Why not? So we pass from the Hardware Museum to the Hardware Museum. This is the really disk version. This is the DNA version. And here you can see how was encoded the sequence. That's all the oligo-elements that are into segments. And now you are going to see, well, here is how the sequence has been done. This is the sequence of the museum. Okay. It was done with Dina Zielinski, that is one of this very famous genetist in the USA. And now I'm going to dive more into the OLIA project, where Scoteda is one of the first partners and the first institution that has believed in the project. Basically, OLIA is also taking into account this project, this notion of how we can really connect the physical with the digital. The idea of OLIA, we have created cryptocurrency under Ethereum blockchain, and the smart contract with some more information inside smart contract that is hidden has been
sequence it into DNA. We save the information of the cryptocurrency smart contract in the DNA, and then we put the DNA into olive oil. And why olive oil? And the olive oil is something that is very connected with for sure with the Spanish culture, let's say, but also with the history. You may remember that in the ancient Greek, and the expression is today also used in Spain, they use the olive oil as a coin. When we say, I'm going to pay you in liquid, this expression comes from the ancient Greeks. Also here in Spain, we talk about, or we mentioned several times that the olive oil is like the golden liquid, because it's something like the juice of the earth in many different ways. And also behind that, there is my experience, my family experience, about how from almost always the humankind, it was trying to find abundance thanks to the agriculture, thanks to the earth. Let's say, imagine when all those ancient and now thrive in the Amazon and in many other places around the world, we are looking to the sky for, okay, thanks God to give us rain, or to give us a good weather, for producing a good year, a good season of mother products. And now, thanks to the olive oil, I was able to connect both worlds, because now in this olive oil we have the most ancient economy in the world, that is agriculture, with a new one, a futurist one, that is the cryptocurrencies and blockchain technologies. So this is a very magical liquid. And as you may imagine, this project, I had a challenge. Okay, how I can represent this project? Because it's a project that is belonging not only to the real world, because the olive oil is physical, you can even drink it. In fact, we are going tomorrow to Dubai, we are going to present the project in the pavilion, Spanish pavilion, in the expo, and I'm going to make the first performance with the project. I'm going to taste, I'm going to swallow the olive oil with the DNA inside. So basically, I'm going to, not metaphorically, but physically and literally, I'm going to eat the cryptocurrency information. But also the project has another side in the web, because it's belonging to the blockchain and the NFTs community. So basically, we produce the olive oil for the real world installation, and also we produce different, this is an exhibition in Kiev, in Ballena, and we did here like a cylinder that it was something very similar of what we produce here for as electronica, created by Alejandro. That we also did this cylinder where you can find the olive oil inside, a hologram in the back, just for reproducing the aesthetical image of the coin, the icon of the coin. And this is the most recent presence of the project. I don't know if you can see, but here, no, let me check, let me stop it. Well, here, those artifacts, this is the DNA. Oops, sorry. You can see that it's moving. So this is the spin Olia version, and it's a sculpture that is spinning. It's moving around the olive oil, moving around the molecules. This is the scale. It was in Arco this year, but here you can find the olive movement, the cryptocurrency inside. As I said, we have produced different NFTs like this one that are based on the idea of spaces, how the Olea molecule can occupy different virtual spaces or metaverses. We have this version that has been shown, thanks to Alejandro as well, in Artissima with the Pira Sugar Gallery. This is the Olea coin. As you may imagine, with this project, I was entering in another world. Like the world of the cryptocurrencies, like crazy. You can find like there's a glossary of terms that you are not familiar with. We are talking about like in Chinese. It was very hard, heavy, just to really understand about the specific language about the cryptocurrencies and everything. And now, thanks to a lot of work during almost 1 year now, we are going to launch the ICO, that is the initial coin offer of the cryptocurrency, with one main achievement, that is the people who is going to hold the token. It will be people that will have like a sort of Tamagotchi, you know what I mean? Do you remember Tamagotchi? The idea is that the people who have the token, this token will auto-generate different NFTs that will be part of the platform. And those NFTs, we are going to save a percentage of the royalties for supporting agriculture, sustainability projects related with agriculture and mother production and biotechnology and art. So that was the you know the spinning wheel that is now coming back to the origin, and the idea is okay how I can produce something that belongs to beer, how and it's making the product of beer valuable, how I can create value thanks to that I need in the web thanks to these auto-generative NFTs. So basically the idea is that the platform will be able to create those NFTs, one NFT per week. So you have 2 tokens, you will have 2 NFTs per week. If you want to invest more tokens in the process, you can produce more than 2 in a week, so 1 in a week. It's up to you to invest or not. And then the idea is to create like a super big collection of NFTs that are based on the project, with a goal that is, you know, to put the emphasis in the importance of the agriculture and the mother earth products. This is how this is in fact for me this is the project. Here is the picture policy. Here you can see all the elements. Here is the chain with the markers with the DNA. And as you can imagine, you can say, okay, you can produce one time the DNA. So we did a copy of the DNA into a plasmid. So this is the original information that comes from the laboratory with the information on the sequence of the cryptocurrency. And then we are able to reproduce almost exactly the same information, so you can recover information as it is. So basically we can make as much as we need DNA representing the cryptocurrency. And this is something that was done like I did for me in the laboratory in Sevilla, because it's, we are collaborating with the CSIC, that is the Institution of Research in Spain. The bacteria that is reproducing the DNA, they sign the holotype into the Petri plate. And those are some examples about the NFTs that we produced. Those are in the R&D platform, that it was one of the first partners in the project. In fact, the first NFT that has been installed in Argo, it was me, and it was in this platform with R&D. And those are the examples of the spaces. This is space number 1, this is space number 2, this is number 3, and now we are producing space number 4, that it will be some kind of this desert, because we are going to promote it for the first time in Dubai, so I think that makes sense. And those are micro metaverses. Our time was done a really good job, because they had the idea of having like micro metaverses as site-specific installation. It's something that I proposed to them in my project, and now they left this idea for the platform. And the last project I would like to talk about is the Interns project that is also based in the DNA information. But at this point, I am in collaboration with a laboratory of genetics here in Spain, and it's ADN True. Basically, the process is you buy an NFT, then you receive a kit with a small plastic for putting your saliva in the sample. Then you send back the saliva to the laboratory, and the laboratory gives me around 15 different information about yourself. For example, what's the amount of dopamine you have, endorphin you have, oxytocin you have, serotonin you have, what is your level of caution versus risk, what is your level of consciousness or control, obviously what is your chain of A, C, G, T in the most representative areas of your DNA for fitting these shapes. What is the length of your telomere? That means that what's the level of your skin to be old or not? I mean, what is the level of your littleness, neuroticism? What is your capability of aerobic? What is your level of extroversion? What is your level of openness or intellectual curiosity? And thanks to that, I am able to build those entities. The idea in the whole process of the website is that
you just upload your JSON file with the account value from the laboratory and the platform, the instance.org, it will be able just to build this for you. Then you have just to mint it, and then you will download the GLB format with the NFT, and then you can reuse this entity in the metaverse. So the idea about interns is that today, more than ever, with the metaverse, with the colonization of the metaverse, now we have to rethink about how will be our image in those worlds. And it makes sense to try to, to represent ourselves in a real visual way in terms of, okay, I have to be as I am in the real world. That makes no sense because we are atoms and the digital are bytes, so it's impossible to put together all of them. And the only thing that is not changing in your life is your DNA. So basically, my proposal to the metaverse structure and metaphors is that if people understood this code, visual code, and if you are in the metaverse in front of someone else with his intron or her introns, you will see, you will understand what kind of people are you facing. And that's more important, I mean, than to having like an avatar, like a comic around the wall. And also here we can talk about the digital identities and the process of making DNA. You are also tokenizing your DNA. So basically, you are the owner of your DNA. That is something that also is it's wondering a lot about, worried, very complicated in terms of the property about who is the owner of the DNA, because finally we are not able to synthesize your own DNA. If the laboratory who has the right to do that, if they have skills to do that, but who is the owner? Normally it's you, so thanks to Introns, you were more than ever able to tokenize your own DNA. So, and we did also this version that is a physical one. For me, it's like a fossil, where something that belongs to the future, but I fully imagine it's also something that is coming back to the project of the frame and memory card. It's the same material, it's massive aluminum, it's around 55 kilograms, and everything is in great in the phones. And the idea is, okay, this is almost just, very. So the idea is to have your own identity saved here, and maybe for the future, someone could be able to really translate what's happening there, like we did, for example, with the Rosetta Stone and other kind of stones that belongs to ancient cultures. So my proposal is, okay, let's represent humans in another way. So I don't know if I did it fast or not. I don't know what time is it. ¿Cuánto llevo, Alejandro? See, just for finishing, about the Hardis Museum, we are also planning to produce for October, next October, the Metadis Museum. That will be the version of the museum but in the meta world, in the metaverse world. With this design, the idea is to have like infinite rings where artists will own one of those small pieces around the disc, and once one of the level is filled, then another one will appear, and so on. So the idea of the Artist Museum is something very close to artists to participate because it's very creative. The idea of this Metadis Museum is to make it the biggest art place, metaverse place in the internet. So well, this is basically that. So if you want to talk more about any questions, I'll be more than happy. I don't know if it was inspiring or not. Was clear about the DNA?
Yeah, I have a question about obviously DNA is something biological, analog, but when you talk about it kind of sequencing data, zeros and ones, it's discrete. How do you in your practice, this is kind of come up a few times, you talk about verification of people, scanning. How do you make digital to analog conversion?
In fact, I think that the problem is that the economy is always involved in the digital process. So fashion, all those kind of stuff is trying to reproduce ourselves inside because they want to. For them, it's a great supermarket. So the industry, the video game, it was obsessed about the idea of having ourselves like we are, and that's totally impossible. So I think that makes more sense to try to find something that belongs to the code into the code. Now we are in an early stage of representation of the virtual worlds. For example, I did an audience for a museum, the Museum of Illustration in Spain, and they say, what do you want to do with the museum? I said, the first thing that you have to begin with is not to try to reproduce some kind of museum that exists in the real world. Please do whatever that you want to do, but totally different for something that would happen in the real world. And we are already video games and everything is okay. Let's reproduce the world itself, and it's not creative. It makes no sense. It's not an expansion of reality. It's just like a mimesis, and it's something that happens in the very beginning of the production. You can imagine, for example, the classical world. The Greeks, they did mimesis. The word mimesis was in the early stage of the artistical production. So I think that we are going back to that, and we are in the mimesis moment. But I think that we are going to pass to another place, and that, for example, introns is something that maybe is not belonging to today, but is belonging to where Pollock arrives and says, okay, now we are going to draw the canvas, because we are talking about the painting with the paint itself. So I think that we have to look forward. We have a lot of experience already in the art history that we can now apply to make something innovative in the virtual worlds and in the metaverse. So I think that we have to change our mind. We have to replace ourselves in another.
Yeah, I think that makes sense for like analog to digital, but the audio piece is digital to analog.
Yeah, in fact,
Is there a difference?
I'm all the time playing around both sides.
Yeah.
And for me, DNA is basic because finally it's a code. So in that code, you can reconstruct the code from scratch. That means that you can artificially create DNA with a binary code that is coming from a file, and you can at the same time you can do in the opposite way. You can represent in binary code some chains of DNA. So basically, you have a real close connection between both.
Is there anything lost?
Sorry?
Is there anything lost? Is there any ambiguity in the translation from digital to analog?
No, it's totally. In fact, it's when you see 1 and 0, you put an A. When you see on 0 and 1, you put a C. When you see on 0, 0, you put a G. When you see on 1 and 1, you put a Z.
Yeah, but that makes sense digitally because you can represent digital things with numbers, but a physical thing.
The physical thing, you have only the matter.
Yeah.
You have like a small piece of it's like a small piece of bread. So basically, you have nothing to see there. But for me, it's more like a question of micro or micro quantum field. But obviously, can you build things with DNA from the scratch in terms of biology, in terms of bacteria? You can design things and you can make it grow up with bacteria. It will belong to the life, so that means that it will be something ephemeral. You cannot. In fact, it was something that I already said to the laboratory. Can I save, even the logo, with oh yeah, you can. But finally, it's going to. It will be a chaos because finally a bacteria is going to grow up, grow up, grow up, and finally we will have the plate will be filled of bacteria. So this is the entropy. Let's say, if I will enter the word.
I have two-part question. One is out of curiosity. The thing that came up multiple times is that looks like a V alphabet. This thing on the left corner.
It's a Morse code.
Okay, fine.
Because Morse code it was one of the first with small signals. It was one of the first binary code representation of information.
And the second question is kind of related to what Tom asked as well about this translation of analog to digital. One other aspect of analog computers or beings is that it's as it's an electrical circuit, it changes all the time. Whereas binary or digital code is always encrypted and always stays the same. For example, in the project of introns, the saliva that you take that day and the dopamine or serotonin levels that you get very like the next day, or
In fact, everything is in movement, but the base of your DNA, you can be overexposed with that activity, and then you will have some kind of alteration of your DNA. But normally, in normal conditions, your DNA, the base of your DNA is almost the same. When we are talking about the endocrine levels, is that how is how much your body is able to produce those hormones. But for sure, for example, it was for me it's like a gesture. Olea is also a gesture. It's opening a door in a different way. So I mean, art is not always so literal. But when you go through science, people ask me about the literality. It's like okay, like when you make a painting and you the eyes, you see the eyes, the blue eyes from far away, and when you notice that are all the painting, yeah, that is that. I am not asking for a real routine in a painting. So, but at the same time, I think, as I said, it is as a gesture, and also in any case, I think that is more stable than the real limit to us, because I'm more time changing, and also I think it's more like sincere because finally, okay, that's me, but an avatar is not me. It's a representation, a real representation of me. That is a real pure data, and that's endless because now I took only 15 elements because we are in the version 1, but in the future we are going to introduce 100. Because the DNA now it's amazing now the information you can take from your DNA now it's almost endless. Now they already found how they can find if your eyes are blue, brown, or black, for example, in your DNA. So this endless information. And at the same time, I put it out some kind of information that is normal in the representation of humans in the reference. You don't know if that is a woman or a man. I don't care about that. You know?
I really liked it. I wanted to ask you because
So,
my whole thing is you mentioned multiventure just in the beginning of the work. So.
I don't know. I think it's open doors. I mean, and the industry, it's all the time. Even we have a lot of iteration of personality with the social media and everything, the overexposure of ourselves. Adolescents are crazy with pictures and everything. So I think that's more like okay, we are not done.
I want to ask about the coin, the Orea coin. Is it like in the artistic way of thinking? Is it like a conceptual object, like an anti-NFT somehow? Like, okay, we are working in the system of NFT, but what is our purpose? The purpose which comes from the ancient times, like this kind of more the human code, let's say, and the more fluent, so fluent that you cannot really represent it in the terms of the system. So then it always leaves the space that you used, and that's why you're there somehow to create the coin. Is it like this kind of anti-NFT in a way?
No, in fact, it was more like my point of view of technology is always very positive because people say, okay, technology, we are in the very alignment, blah blah blah, and I say, okay, that's true, but today we have thousands of opportunities that we never had. For example, could an artist 10 years ago create a coin or even you? No. So you have the opportunity to do it in a creative way. Could we have an olive oil that costs $2,000, 1 liter? It happens now. In art, it happens. Someone buys the artworks. You are paying for an olive oil with the addition of of the intellectual editing of an artist. You are now buying an olive oil about the price. So how much cost? The range of an olive oil, of an olive tree. You know, this is the process of thinking. And finally, it's not going against, but it's in fact the idea is also to create your own ecosystem of thinking, and that's very important. And this is an opportunity that we have, all of you, you have now with the new technologies. And it's because I said that at the very beginning you have to be the media as well. So basically, when you create this kind of structure, the future of the world, okay, imagine that people from the agriculture is going to use this coin. Because okay, if I am a producer of olive oil and I have the opportunity to use Olia or Bitcoin, I will use Olia because it's a coin that belongs to my sector. So it's not going against that, but it's more like the sake of creating a new ecosystem
Absolutely, absolutely.
that should be encompassed in the NFT
Exactly.
thinking, not just like the electronic side.
That's something that is important to say because finally with the project I was also okay. We are holding line watching to the top, but the real goal is in the bottom. So this is like a reverse point of the things. And the idea is like to the NFTs to feed the earth one more time, so we keep the ecosystem. So that for me that's very romantic in a way, but it could happen. It could happen. Yeah.
I have maybe a silly question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. We're going through a challenging moment with the war and things like that in the world. And what do you think is the role of art or generative art and metaverse and NFTs in this process and ethics in general?
As I said that before, for me the most important thing is now people is understanding that tangibility is something valuable. That's super amazing. That's what they happen. For me, the last year it was the digital art, and then this year will be music and cinema, and then it will be everywhere. That is super important, not only for that, because I think, one more time, the positive way of thinking about technology, I think that the notion of NFTs will even balance the massive production of humans. Because always we connect the object with the status. If I'm wearing this shoes, whatever, it's a question of the status. And now this status is already working as well if you have an NFT. So those rich people who wants to have like 10 collectibles, cars, Cadillac, whatever, now they say, okay, I will buy a monkey, an NFT monkey, and everywhere in around the world knows that I have this monkey. So I don't need the car, I just want the monkey. So maybe in a positive way, this technology could even change the way that we see the production, massive production. And it's super cool now. Because finally, everything will belong to the world of ideas, to the world of the intangible, and it's very powerful. So I think that the word decentralized is very, very, very important now in the next years. For example, maybe we have already understood the matter and the resources are not belonging to a specific place. Maybe Putin is not occupying Ukraine. So I think that we have to defend this technology in a very specific way point of view. No matter if you are buying city NFTs or whatever, I think that the most important thing is now decentralizing technologies is super powerful, and that's something that we have to. In my case, I want to defend it. Even with the banks and even with many different things. For me, it's freedom in a different way. So, voilà, and open source, decentralized things. Obviously now, next generation of blockchains that are eco-friendly and not doing no matter what with the consumption. I think that the future of internet and human could change a lot.
I have another question. You started the presentation talking that a new concept of artist, like you said that the artist now intermediates there. So do you think that it may lead us to a place that the artist is like a corporation artist and each person is that just like a part of this bigger corporation?
In fact, it was always the same. When you talk about Velázquez, when you talk about all those famous artists, it was the same. But the mecenas at the theater was the church.
I can replace Velázquez, but I can replace a small part of him, you know?
Yeah, for sure. But I would like to say that now, in fact, it's something that is very interesting. Now, for me, now this new generation is putting out religion. Now, science has gained the fight with the religion, and that's something 10 years ago it was like this, and now it's like this. And now, as humans, we need some kind of religion, we need faith. And now the faith is the digital, the faith is the technology. When you go to Google, you are trying to find a reply 365 days per year, 7 days per week, and 24 hours per day. And it's exactly the same when you go to the church and you will there, you wait for the response of your God. So now it's a displacement of the economy
through those ecosystems that belongs to the religion, to the new technologies, fashion, entertainment, and so on. So basically, the artist has already understand that you have to be part of that ecosystem if you want to if you want to evolve your production. And for me, it makes sense. I mean, 10 years ago, you are in connection with L'Oreal. You say, wow, you are in you're with the devil. You are an artist that you are in with the devil because you are now sold out with the mass production. It makes sense. I mean, if L'Oreal is giving me the resources to produce something special, and I am not changing my point of view of art, and I am not changing my message, I will go ahead because it's normal now. We need to support art in many different ways, and if that economy has the right has the resources to do it, yeah. But finally, the consequence of that is that finally you become as well like a mark yourself. Finally, you become like an icon.
For example, in the case of that, you made a machine that gives me the facility to do art. Who's the owner of that NFT? You know, because I have done the final art of the art, but you made the first.
Normally, when you make something, when you make a code, the code has also an owner. So the product of the code is also, it belongs to the owner. The property belongs to the code.
For example, the last el otro chico que ha venido has said that there was a girl that was an artist in the Sims world, in a game. So the owner of those NFTs would be the Sims creator or the girl who are doing the art in the Sims.
For me, it's a question of environment. And it's always that's something that I said. Now there's a lot of artists that are plasticians, for example, and they want to be reproduced as well in the digital world. Something that is not like okay, the materiality of things are not the same. When you see something that belongs to the digital world and works, you don't need to even to produce it in the physical one. So basically, who is the owner in the virtual world? For me, is the avatar. But who is the owner in the context of the rest? I think is the person who is behind the avatar. If the avatar is autonomous and is some kind of artificial intelligence that it's emancipated from itself, okay, let's continue talking about that. But I think that now today is it's not clear enough. But it's something that is coming from, I mean, Eva and Franco Mates, that are two a collective. They did like the first portrait in Second Life in, I think it was in the 85, 86. They took the camera of the avatar and they took pictures of the people who was there, like a portrait. Who is the owner of that? The avatar who is wearing the camera and taking pictures, or is the artist who is behind? So for me, today, I think that we are humans, and I think that we have to take the responsibility. And it's part of also of the art. The art is also I want to do art. You know, if you want to do it, I think that this idea should belong to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if Luis has a question to Soliman.
Well, I have lots of questions. Lots of questions. No, I mean, there's a lot of points that we can get into. I mean, I took issue with your description of generative art. I think we can talk a lot about that. This agency between the artist, the machine, the collector. Sometimes they have some semblance of agency. I don't think we're there that the machine, as you just said, is emancipated to create something. I mean, I think it's disingenuous, I think, to describe generative art as co-creation just yet. I want to get there. I want machines to get there. But as someone who creates generative art, I try to give a lot of agency to the machine, but in the end, I think we're not there yet. No?
Yeah, for sure. A coder who really understands the code is able to manipulate everything that he wants or she wants. But finally, I mean, it's a struggle between the machine and the artist, and what's the limit of the software, and how far I can go. But that's for me, that's the co-creation. I mean, because if finally it's like you are in a box or in a frame where the machine is here and you are here and you are, let's say, validated about the future that this machine, the software in this case has. It's because now we are making a lot of bridge between different software. Now you can connect Arduino with processing, or that designer with Python, and Python with that designer with 9. So because the link is not already gone, but I agree with you that that's not the machine is not emancipated 100% for creating artworks. It was the same I was talking about. But we as artists, we trust the machine as a tool for creating art. That's different. And it's something that belongs to the past away. I mean, when the camera comes, okay, because in photography, digital photography is not art because we are using a device or video. Now we really understand that thanks to that, something that it was very, it was not obvious, but now people understand that you can actually, you can work with a machine. You can make something amazing with a machine. But in the past 20 years, in 20 years, people it was okay. Photography is not art.
It's time to get there.
Yeah. Photography is not art because you are using a device. Because an artist is someone who is touching with their hands a physical object or painting. Listen to me, the brush is a tool. I am not making the painting with the finger. And the paint itself is it's also a medium. Paint is a medium for expression. So, I don't know, it's something.
Uh, on that subject, I think it's interesting you started when you mentioned talking about exception machine, and I think like you said a few minutes ago that we were on a stage of mimesis, right? And you were trying to go beyond that. Sorry, you were trying to go beyond that, as in beyond the stage of mimesis. And I think we as humans have struggled the whole time accepting technologies and accepting machines. Even filmmaking was like a wasn't understood as art in the beginning. So I think maybe I don't know, just like to talk about that. I think maybe like this mimesis stage is our way maybe to make it easier or friendly to accept this technology or machine that is so big and intangible. And I know it's I don't I just think it's interesting how it all comes with that, right? Like accepting the tool, accept the machine, accept the technology, and how we have always like uh, give at the beginning like our backs to new technology, social media. I don't know what you think about
But
it.
we are in like let's say the hypertext. The hypertext is something that belongs to the avant-garde movement. For example, when you already said about color. The avant-garde painting was the painting that is reflecting about the painting itself. That in the artist is using painting for reflecting about painting. So it was like following the front. Okay, let's make painting with itself with the materiality of the painting. And that's something that's happening today with the new technology. The problem is that we are not going out because there's a lot of new things, and we are all the time talking about technology from the technology. Because it's pointless, because we are all the day we are putting out a new product, a new project, a new product, a new project, a new invention, a new invention. So artists, we are already we experiencing the wow effect already. So it's because we are making like this kind of review all the time about the technology itself. So I think that once we assume that technology is here and we are part of that, then we will be more free to really produce something totally separated from the technology, measure from the technology and the technology from the measure. So we'll be more free to really produce something new.
Probably the idea of transparency, right? Or I don't know, there's a book called Remediation. It's pretty interesting. It talks about the idea of the transparency of the apparatus. Like once we get there,
Yeah.
we're free.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Same with the cell phone, with the
But
TV.
I think what's your attitude to be positive about technology. I mean, the easiest way to get there is to, for me at least, is to understand us and technology as a continuum. I mean, we make a world, we try to understand the world. Technology is us. It's not a separate thing. It's not
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And you finally, when you work with DNA, you finally say, okay, we are that. The quantum computation and the voxels exactly that. I mean, finally we are going to, in fact, you're talking about that the binary itself is open. Now everything will be multiplied by 4. And exactly this is happening also in society. Now we are not human, we are not men, now we are hybrids. We are, the new generation. I am not a woman, I am human. I am not hetero, I am not homosexual, I don't know what am I. So that means that we are not 1 or 0, we are like in quantum confusion completely. So basically, I think that we are now passing from binary to quantum. Everything is going to be multiplied by 2. So, yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
We have the next talk at 4.
Yeah, 4. Yeah, because right now Joan Pons is doing teaching a class, so Joan Pons will come at 4 here. So we will wait you.
Will be more about creating walls and metaverses.
Yeah. Hace fresquito, sí, porque no tenemos butano, justamente lo hemos pedido y ha de llegar. Bueno, sí, sí. Porque, vale, pues ya estoy subiendo el directo, vas a la página, ahora te envío el link. Muy bien, muy buena charla.
No podría entrar mucho en la blockchain porque tampoco me parecía.
Mañana el vídeo intentaremos decir algo más.
Como tenéis más eso también, tampoco me quiera pisar ni técnicamente, un poquito más conceptual que. Yo creo que otra experiencia en el asunto. Que ahora con esto no sé si lo logramos. ¿Qué tal?
Yo soy Carla Lederman. Una vez hablamos por teléfono, que te llamé.
Sí, para el tema de la música, ¿no?
Sí,
sí, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás?
Bien.
¿Qué tal?
Súper.
¿Estaba por aquí?
Sí, estuve ahí atendiendo la charla.
Muy bien, pues si le tomo un café o algo,
Sí.
Me mola mucho la estructura de museo.
Sí, cuando lo conecta está muy guapo. Además, no acabo de instalarla, te le falta un par de cosas.
Porque refleja abajo, ¿no?
Sí, solo refleja reflectante. El proyector gráfico está aquí, lo queremos poner. Es que yo lo estoy instalando y tal.
¿Necesitas una aplicación?
Tengo la aplicación, no, lo vi en la SD, pero la aplicación no se conecta con el proyector gráfico.
Tienes que conectarte la wifi, o sea, el proyector que tiene una wifi, tú desde tu móvil, ¿se lo has hecho?
Tiene una wifi especial, vale, pensaba que los dos se conectaron a la misma wifi.
El proyector en sí mismo tiene una wifi interna, o sea, yo tenía que conectar, creo que era admin unos 4 o una cosa.
Bueno, sí, tiene admin.
Y una vez que ahí ya te enganchas, luego te recomiendo que pases del ordenador, o sea, directamente intentar cargarlo desde el móvil.
Creo un archivo bin, pero no, mejor desde el móvil.
O sea, cárgalo directamente desde el móvil, porque se ha dejado que chapa. Yo intenté hacerlo desde la tarjeta y había un montón de carpetas, nunca me aparecía.
Vale, perfecto, pues me
Sí, vamos.
Me dejamos el vídeo aquí, perfecto.
Marc, ¿necesitas comer o qué?
Sí, si queréis vamos con Josep. Yo lo he dicho, Josep, no sé dónde vais.
Bueno, vamos podemos ir al italiano.
Ahí o el fumado no está bien, el menú está.
Este que está aquí abajo.